Shalom Esha, I want to start off as always by giving all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakodash, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and honestly brothers doing the work of the Most High truth and in sincerity. This one is, as always, Yahweh, that's the real name of whom the world England calls God, Jehovah, Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh, and his son's real name is Yahweh Shai, right? Because those names are, very important, right? And, faith and praying to those names is how, we might be saved. Okay. So, so this is from Cena EU digital wallet aimed for easier, more secure cross-border identity checks. Okay. And, when you read this article, it reminded me of Estonia, which, brothers can look up Estonia, right? You would even know, but it's the most technologically advanced government in the world. Everyone over there has an ID, and they use this ID to basically use literally any service. They pay their taxes easily over there. Because once again, everything is recorded against an ID. Okay. So this is basically the system that is being rolled out gradually, and we know exactly where this is going to. You can't say the words, but those of us in the know, and that is that Revelation 13:16, right? Which is talks about the MOB, right? Which is the implantable version of this, because this is it in Estonia. They've got the infrastructure, but they just don't do the bit where with the charagma, where there is an incision, right, of a device into the what do you call it, into the into the hand or onto the forehead. Okay, so the EU announced plans on Thursday to allow European citizens to prove their identities and share electronic documents using a new digital identity wallet stored on their phones. And this is it right now, it's all on their phones. But once again, pursuant to Revelation 13:16, pursuant to Revelation 14:9, right, pursuant to Revelation 20:4 as well, I believe. These things are going to move from being in external devices to internal, right? And the technology is ready there. You already got people that are using it, right? It says Europeans will be able to link their national digital identities, their driving licenses, diplomas, medical prescriptions, and bank accounts to prove who they are without having to share sensitive information directly with third parties. And this is it. It's all, oh my God, this is amazing. This is exactly what we want. Okay. Because that's how these things always start. They always start with the carrot and the stick, right? And in fact, while we're here, we might as well get it. This is 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Okay, and this is one of those devices that he has devised. Okay, we are not ignorant of the things that this man is planning to do in these last days. Okay, when he's bringing out this legislation, we know where it's headed, right? Scriptures talk about how was it we see through a glass darkly, roughly paraphrasing, right? We know the bits and bobs, but as things are happening, everything the division is getting clearer and clearer, right? Each time new prophecies are fulfilled, and that's it. And this is the thing, this is an important thing. This is what the scripture says this, right, in Matthew 26:41, watch and pray, right, that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Right, so here the scripture says watch and pray. What are we watching for? Well, we're watching for these prophecies to come to pass, because when these prophecies are coming to pass, that's how we're able to say, look, man, hey, the Lord is getting ready to come back. Because as soon as you start watching, then you get into that spirit of let's grab it. What are you doing? That's not what I want. Saying, but you know what? Actually, that was an interesting word that to seek out, which is actually really, it was saying that was a spirit, because so one of the things I believe I saw there was saying, to seek out. Let's do that again. To try and find something by looking at, otherwise seeking carefully and thoroughly. So I take that back. That was the spirit. Right, that was the spirit, because what we was just looking up, watching, right, and being, following prophecy, right? This is Sirach 39. It says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies. And that's one of the things we got to do. In fact, that was even one I was looking for anyway, but it was perfectly timed. That also, but he that giveth his mind to the Lord the Most High is occupied in the meditation of will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies, i.e., keeping an eye, seeing something happens. Oh yeah, oh man, that's happened. Okay, cool. That lines up with this precept. That lines up with that precept, etc., etc. And then we're able to build a better picture of what's happening. When we're able to stay in the spirit, okay, and to know what time we're in. Right, this is Matthew 24:48. It says, verily I'll say, I'll start from 47. Verily I'll say unto you that he shall make him, verse 46 says, blessed is the servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But, and if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, right? It says, and shall begin to smite his fellow servant and to eat and drink with the drunken, right? The Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and an hour that he is not aware of, shall cut him asunder, right, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. They shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Right, and that's cold, right? But it's exactly what it is, because if any of us get in the spirit of not watching, right, not linking together the prophecies, not, this is the thing. There are several median and modes of information. All right, for instance, personally, I saw that when I was at work, on my Twitter, I follow, the mainstream media, follow, this, follow that, right? And then, when you go into like the trending stuff, you see certain bits of news and whatever that's trending. And I actually shared that article with, Arkim, right, from that medium. So it's sort of like, there really isn't, any excuse to not have a medium to be able to keep on top of these things that are happening in the world, right? Um, but that's, once again, that's why it's important to just watch, because if you don't watch, right, then you can, there's a risk that if we don't watch, then there's a risk that we will end up in this state here where it's like, the Lord ain't, laws are not coming back because you're not looking out for the signs. You're not seeing that the signs are actually, coming to pass. Okay, though it tarry, wait for it, right? So I'll grab, a couple of precepts and I'll close out, right? This is Daniel's 8:25. It says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without a hand. Right, and as the apostle, broke down a couple of weeks ago, this is referring to Antiochus, the epiphanies, right? But it can be used reference today, in regards to the way this man, does his policy, because this you had Antiochus, but then you have the account which I'm going to get in a second, with the ancient Roman Empire, right, where they were doing the same thing. Okay, so the Antiochus, with the Greeks, right, and then the Romans come along, right, and then now you got the new Rome doing the exact same thing, right? All of these different policies and legislations, which on the surface, right, seem good. They seem like they're there for your, for your benefit and for your help, but really, they ain't there for any good of yours whatsoever. It says Psalm 55:20, right? It says, he hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant, right? And no one knows that better than our brothers Gad and Reuben, man, right? He made an innumerable amount of what do you call it, of treaties with them, right? And then he broke every single one of them, right? And it was one of the Iranian leaders not too long ago, when Trump came in there, He basically was like, this should show the world that America shouldn't be trusted, i.e. when, America unilaterally, which uni means one, naturally basically meaning that they did it they didn't do it as part of a unit, right? They just did it on their own, basically on their own accord, right? Obviously bilaterally would be two, uh, you know, people in the party, right, or whatever, what have you. Okay, so yeah, carrying on, it says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in heart. War was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And this is one of them things which, on the surface, like, yeah, it just makes sense, right? And anyone who knows when you're trying to verify identity, having to take them stupid, you have to take the picture of your driver's license or whatever, then take a picture with you and the driver's license, right? On the surface of it, say, yeah, just put just put a number in. Everyone has it. It's like, okay, cool, right? But those of us in the know, we know exactly where it leads, right? But it's okay. We're like, yo, bring it on, right? Because it leads to the downfall of this man's kingdom. It's first Maccabees 8:1. Now Judas had heard of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them, and make a league of amity with all that came onto them, right? And amity, I believe that's like a friendship, right? A league of friendship with them, right? It says, and with all that came onto them, and they were men of great valor, and it was told him also of their wars and noble acts which they had done among the Galatians, and how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute, and what they had done in the country of Spain for the winning of the mines of silver and gold which is there, and that by their policy and patience they had conquered all the place. And this is the thing; these devils have had patience, man. They've had patience, which things have moved quickly, but you see the way this man's moving, man, all throughout this time, setting up everyone into this checkmate position, right? And that's how we know in these last days, this man, he's been patient. That's why this man, you can feel that he's now like, okay, cool, yeah, look, let's get this thing, done, right? Especially because on one hand, right, he was right, on the other hand, he's seeing the children of Israel being raised up, and that's making him scared. Okay, been watching that program Ragnarok, and that was one set of characters that was like, when they started seeing my man, gaining power and strength, they were like, yo, they basically like, yo, but you could tell they were scared, right? That the opposition was gaining in power and strength, and that's how these elites are, right? So that's why Revelation 12:12 was written, okay, knowing they have a short time. It says so carrying on first Maccabees 8:4, and that by their policy and patience, right? All of these different things that they will make policy on, and also the patience, because this particular thing needs a thing of adoption, right? And obviously we hope that there is an event that speeds things up, but at the end of the day we can only go by the speed of Yahweh Shem Shai, right? It's as though it were very far from them, and the kings also that came against them from the uttermost part of the earth, till they had discomfited them and given them a great overthrow, so that the rest did give them tribute every year, right? As long as that's all I had, just a quick one, sharing this particular article with you, and those Lord's what I was edifying. So next time I say, Shalom.